Bwahahahaha. My name is Amy too, and you're back. Welcome back to Tech Synth. This is continuing off of the first video. This is the stuff in between the first and second video. So let's see if I can read all of them. Moon found a creation alongside the road to the beach. This was the beginning of the beginning of the beginning. The creature was the perfect size of a human. It's an odd thing to say. Its arms reaching up over the top of her head, legs ending in sharp claws. And it looked at her with a strange mix between curiosity and terror. So is this a horror thing? You can speak? Where did you... Oh no, you can't be alive. Her words were filled with fear that she would not understand. How did you find myself in such a place? Where did you find this place? She asked him, trying her hardest to understand what he was saying and find a way to explain the monster. You did not find me, I found you. The creature was silent, as if it wanted to say more, but it was not sure of what it would say or if it would be able to understand. You can see me? How? Did the light have you? The creature spoke and tried to explain its existence in a way that was understandable to her. I see you! The creature answered her, a mixture between anger and amusement in his voice. This would really kind of unsettle me. I mean, it already kind of is. Why? The creature continued to ask. How are you here? I am here because you have brought me to this place. You are here to be my companion and to help me in my journey. The creature was silent, as if trying to comprehend the idea. You are here to help me in my journey? Yes. The creature spoke again in a mixture of annoyance and curiosity. How? I will explain as we travel. Oh, great, huh? The creature said as it looked up at her to make it clearer. And with that, I would like to present my most interesting character that I've ever worked with. I've always loved him, and this is my first time trying to animate such a character. He's still a work in progress, so don't expect any huge changes in the coming days. And now that I've shown my love to this character, I'll give him a name. You didn't already? I've decided to call him Gaius, or however you pronounce that. And he was inspired by the character in the manga, and that I really enjoyed. Rurichu, whatever. I want to give him one of his own as his own character too. I've been trying to get this character into my works for a while, and I finally managed it. His voice is very similar to Rurichu. I tried very hard to make him resemble Rurichu. I don't know what this is. I'm assuming it's something, but I'm not familiar with most manga, if that really is what it is. As closely as possible, and while still keeping him my own and unique character. His voice is very similar. No, I'm reading the same thing over again. I am very excited. I hope you guys enjoy him. And as the next part of this story, I'll go ahead and post it as it comes. I've been thinking about the next character that I'll be working on, and it will be a female character that you've probably already seen or heard of. And I hope you like her. It's another female character, and it's going to be a girl. I'm going to give her a name as well. As you would. I think I've managed to get all of her parts done, and I'm almost done. There'll be one more part done, and that will be her name. So don't freak out if you don't see that part. It will be coming along with the character I decided upon. It will be in the future after the story has been started, and it will be another character that I've decided to name Nyx 2. Now that I'm at it, I'll be making a part with the character I decided upon to be called Crystal, like the character from Star Fox, whatever. She's going to be my own character as well. I'm very excited as well. I hope you like her, and as always, any feedback would be nice. I'm very happy with all the characters I've done so far. So that's what's happened to the characters I haven't finished. So what's happened to all the characters I haven't finished yet? I have so much more that I'll get to, but I'll take it slowly. I've made a very short story. It's a short story that I'm calling Dawn. And it's in the middle. It's a short one, too. I'll post it as it's done, and it's coming along. I will post this story for both Chris and Nyx at some point, and I'll post a link to the Dawn story. It's just an intro to the story I'll have. I have decided to make a short fanfic about the legend of Nyx. How can you make a fanfiction about a character you created? It's a fanfic I'd make for the fanfic contest. So I've decided to post it. And if anyone has any feedback, then please comment and let me know. It'd be lovely. So this may be a bit of an abrupt thing, but I've decided to make a short fanfic about the last king of the sands. It's a fanfic that I'll post for the fanfic contest. So I'll post it. And if anyone has any feedback, then please comment and let me know. It'd be lovely. Okay. I've decided to make a short fanfic about the legend of the King of the Sands. It'll be a fanfic. Okay. It just repeats that part. That was something else. Moon found a creation alongside the road he was on, but when he reached out to touch and pull at it with his hand, it vanished immediately. He saw 3 creatures, a small one, a large one, and an enormous one. The small creature was small as well. After that, he saw another creation. The giant one was large as well, as it would be. The last one he saw, he was unsure. However, when he looked at its feet, they were small and slimy. Ugh. After that, he heard a noise like an explosion. A huge sound like that of a firecracker going off. Sounds more than a firecracker if you're calling it an explosion. I mean, it is an explosion, but whatever. After that, he felt as if he was falling. Then there were 3 objects falling from the skies. They landed on the ground next to him. They were small as well as slimy. Ugh. However, when they touched his foot, they disappeared. I'd think that I was hallucinating. Then there were 3 objects falling from the sky. Okay, yeah. When he looked at them, they had a strange effect on him. He felt dizzy, a slight discomfort in his body. There was an aura that was around it, but when he looked into it, he could not tell what it was. 3 tiny elephant's foot. Oh, just a moment. After that, he saw a dark black creature with long horns. Its eyes were red as well, the same color as its horn. It has a red horn. Okay. This black beast with long horns. His body was covered in a black substance. Well, yeah, it's black. Which was similar with the substance used for tattoos. Interesting. It looked like a black goo on his flesh. He felt his body get covered in black goo. And when he looked at it, he saw that he was covered in a strange goo too. It reminded him of the black goo from a dream. In a way, he felt as if it was a part of him. I don't like the sound of that. The black goo was different from the black substance used for tattoos. It was more like something that was mixed in with his skin. This is some nightmare fuel here. As his body was slowly covering with the black goo, his skin slowly became covered with the goop. It began to gooey and sticky. Soon it would form a layer that he could not even look at. It began to form an insulating layer around his own flesh. It was hard and felt like it should not be touched. Well, maybe you don't want it on your skin then. It seemed that the gooey substance would absorb all the blood in his body. So it's like a full body leech. Ugh. Turning him into a slime-like state. Holy cow, this is something. Even when he was being hit by a bullet that did not have any metal embedded into it, it's a rubber bullet or a wooden bullet, and he was still alive, so he could not be killed. That doesn't mean that. His body could not be penetrated by poison, bullets, or any other kind of projectile that might cause him to explode. As a result, he could not be killed by poison or gunfire because he wouldn't have any flesh to be affected. The only thing that was possible was his skin that was not covered in the black goo. The goop would goo him and turn into his black goo. The black goo is not an organism that was alive, but a black goo substance that was made out of a human being. It could not be infected by viruses, bacteria, or any other kind of disease. It could be destroyed by heat, freezing, or vacuum. It could not be destroyed by acid or electricity. It could not be destroyed by any kind of liquid or chemical weapons. It could not be destroyed by any kind of weapon. Well then, the goop was not an organism that was alive. It was an organism that was made out of humans. Yeah, that's disturbing as anything. Its power and strength were the same as a normal human. I doubt that. The goo was made out of humans, and it was also the same as any living thing. I thought you said it wasn't alive. But the goo inside its body had a certain power that made it the strongest organism that ever existed. The goo was the strongest organism from humans that ever existed. It was also the greatest organism. Okay, then. Even if it was covered in the black goo that was made out of flesh, it was still a being that was created from a human. Can you stop saying that? Therefore, the goo that was inside its body was also called as the strongest organism in the world. So they've got poison or explosives. I see. Then I can just use them to kill him. Even if it was poison or explosives, there was no way that they could deal with a human. Interesting. Who could turn into a goo with a single touch. The goo could easily destroy a human. It had the best defense against any kind of weapons, and was able to deal with anything that the humans in this world could do. That's why if there was nothing that could defeat it besides a human, the goo inside his body would be used to wipe out the whole world. And the only way to defeat the strongest organism of ... What in the world was that? Moon drove over some foam in his car, but it just rolled right off on its own with no damage whatsoever. He told me it was one of the few things in the universe that doesn't leave fingerprints. After he got home, we drove down to the local park to watch the stars. When we got out of our car, I noticed something was wrong with the sky. The stars were all out. No stars. What? They were not there. What happened? We checked this telescope on his truck that night, and it was still up. He said that there was no way he could miss that. He has always claimed to not think he is psychic. He told me he is not psychic like that. He has always been very open and honest with me. He told us he doesn't believe in hearing voices or in channeling. He told me that his father would tell him that if he wanted a job, he should ask for a higher grade on his test. That was what he was trying to teach him. I don't know about that. That sounds a little weird. My dad and my brother have always been very open and honest with me and my brother. They have always told us that I would learn and understand everything if I listened to them. They told us that it was okay if I didn't do something because I will learn from it and I will change my mind. Interesting logic. The day of the accident, I was not feeling very good and I went to the gym. After a few minutes, I was feeling really good. My brother and I went to the park and watched the stars. I was really enjoying the night. As we were walking home, my dad came up to me and said, "Did you see them?" I said no, and he said, "Why are you not talking to me?" I said no, and I told him that it didn't bother me and I was fine. He said, "You can't talk to me. I'm psychic." He said this with all sincerity. What he actually was saying to me was, "Do you want to make sure I get the ice cream and not just be happy with me? Do you want the ice cream and be happy with me?" My husband and I went walking to the grocery store. I told my husband what had happened. He was trying to get me to come home, but it didn't work. He was telling me to get over it, but I couldn't hear him and I was still not happy. I told him I didn't know what's going on, but I'm having some issues and you can't be upset with me because you can't see it. You can't talk about it or you can't be scared by it. He tried to get me to go home, but I said no and I told him how I felt and told ... Weird stuff. And do one more. I know I can't do all of the in-between episodes ones, but I can do some. Moon slept on the floor next to a couch where his younger brothers slept. He had only a few days to live. Well then. And the brothers were the only ones able to make him laugh. His mother was asleep upstairs and didn't wake him up in time for the last night. So he lay there alone in the dark and waited for her to wake up. Finally, the first light hit him. He smiled and he looked at his reflection. He was still young and his body was still strong and his arms were long. He had the same muscles in them as a boy his age had at his age. I guess that's right. They weren't the same, however. His arms and legs had grown to be twice as long. That's unusual. You become the new Slender Man or something? And his body was now even heavier. His head, however, didn't have the same weight, and he had longer hair. His eyes had changed, and his face had become a more feminine one. His chest looked smaller than it had when he was a boy. What? That makes no sense. And his muscles were smaller than they once were. His mouth was not also smaller. He couldn't even eat a normal meal without hurting himself. His eyes flicked open and as he looked at the light and he smiled. He was still a boy. He could still eat like he was a boy. He sighed at the thought. There would never be an evening when he stopped being a boy. There wouldn't be anyone who'd stop being a boy in his life. His mother was always going to be his mother, and even the boys at the school would know who he was by the way he moved and how he walked. They'd know exactly who he was, and he couldn't think of a better place to be. His smile grew wider at the thought. That's kind of weird to like reflect on. But whatever. There'd be no better place to be than in his own bed with his own clothes on. He'd be in one of the few places in the world he was truly himself. His heart skipped a beat as he thought of it. It would be a dream he'd never forget. You're just thinking of your life. You're awake, he heard from outside his door. That's a bold statement. He smiled and stood up and looked out the open window. The sky was the color of a freshly fallen snow, and he could see far out over the sea. Far away and off into the distance the sun was beginning to rise. His smile faded slightly, and he turned his head to look at his bed. He'd been asleep, and now he was waking up. It wasn't as good as having his mother with him, but it was something. "Hello," he heard a voice say. It was his father, and the man was standing by his bed. "I'm going to get changed." His smile was slightly dampened as he heard his father walking down the stairs and into his room. He heard the clothes he was wearing being put away. What? And was about to stand up and go to the wardrobe to get his own clothes when his heart sank. What if his father was here? What if he wanted to see his father? Did he have any idea what his father looked like? What is this? This thought caused a wave of revulsion to run through him, and he quickly looked down at his bed. He could be dead. He was so far gone he could be. That thought made him feel sick and disgusting, and he knew he'd never be able to wash the shame that washed over him. He quickly moved to his dresser and looked around. His clothes were still lying about on the floor. The smell was still there. Oh boy. If you can smell it, there's a problem. As it so often was during the winter months. There were still dirty hands that seemed to be looking for something. He heard his father's footsteps and turned to see him approaching his room, and the two men sitting on opposite sides of the room. What? You've got random guys living there? They were silent except for the faint humming that was coming from above them. What are you doing? His mother asked. We were going to see your father and see if he wanted to speak to you. Why are you here? Her voice was harsh. Why were both of you here? Well, my father's in the kitchen. He wanted me to talk to you for a moment. You'll speak with him? Well, we just wanted to talk to you. But you're your father, she replied angrily. What? Well, it doesn't matter. We don't mind speaking to your father. We're just here to help. What do you mean help? She asked, her voice growing louder. He took a deep breath to calm himself. But he saw how she was feeling, and he felt his shoulders trembling. We'll be helping you out with this. She stared at him. What? He smiled and reached down to the drawer under the bed and pulled out a pair of scissors. His father was right. He was helping her out of a difficult situation. She could feel the warmth radiating from him in response. He moved over to his mother, who was sitting in a chair facing her, and stood up on his tiptoe and said to her, I'll be right back. He looked over his shoulder and saw a flash of light in the corner of the room. My father is not going to be coming back. We'll have to get his clothes here, he said, his voice quaking. I see. I will be getting the clothes in the bathroom. Can we come inside now? He smiled as he replied, Sure, I'll wait here while you get the clothes. Thank you, she answered. He went into the kitchen to get his mother something to eat. The lights were dimly lit as she sat on the stool across from his mother. What happened, sweetie? She asked, looking at him as he came back into the room and sat across from her. He looked from his mother to the door where his father was standing to see if the lights were on. You know, when he comes back, I'll go out the back and get the clothes, he said. I am so glad, his mother replied. I have been hoping he would come back. You can't wait for your father to be home. I know I can't, but I can wait a little longer for you to get the clothes, he answered. He's obsessed with clothes in this one. And they're trying to keep both his mother and himself from smiling. Their faces had gone a little softer as she continued. I'll get them while you're waiting. She left the room and went to get the food for their dinner, he noticed. He stood in the doorway and watched as she walked out of the bathroom. He took a few steps in and saw her sitting on a chair across from her father. He looked and saw his father walking up the hallway. She walked over to him. "Hello, Mr. Anderson. Is everything okay?" "Yes, Mom. Everything is fine." He answered, trying to put her concern for him aside and continue what they were doing. She looked over at him. "Do you want to have a look around?" Her father nodded and took her hands in his. "Let's go." He led the way down the stairs. He could hear his mother talking to her husband in the hallway. "Oh, Dad, will you let me help him pack things up?" What a relief! As she walked down around the desk and looked through the boxes, she walked over to the closet and opened the door and then pulled the door handle and opened the door, walking out. Dad, I need help getting things off the shelf." As they walked down the hallway, his mother stepped in front of the door to the living room. She held up her hands and said, "We need to be home soon, and I can't help them get everything off the shelves." She then grabbed the keys to the door and unlocked it. The man then ran out into the house to get them. When he got back to the kitchen, both of them were sitting in the living room with a box in front of them. "How did you guys get all this stuff off the shelf?" his mother asked. His father said, "I just pushed it off." They both got up and ran into the dresser to the corner of the room. And I'm gonna end this video right here because I'm starting to develop a headache. Anyway, I'm gonna continue this some other time, and if you like these types of videos, subscribe. I'm trying to finish this archive, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.